Mike, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
In the last 100 years, in this state, there hasn't been an independent candidate to win political office. Where in the world do you see a path to victory?
There's never been a time like this, Jason, and that's the point. And everybody knows that. I mean, we have a real problem in politics. The two-party system is not working. And look to Washington, and you see dysfunction and chaos. Look to Texas, and you see policies that we don't agree with. For example, Texans really want great public schools. Are we getting that? No, because we have a two-party system that elects, guys like Dan Patrick. And it's a long list of things that Texans want that we aren't getting. And everywhere I go, folks say, somebody's got to do something different about this.
You're no stranger to the ballot, right. but this run is different. I mean, where is there a path to victory for an independent candidate in this state?
Well, I've run before, Jason, and
Sure.
so I've got an infrastructure. I do have some name recognition. I also have a fairly good idea of where those votes are, and I have relationships in all those parts of the state. And there are some white-hot issues that Texans are going to be motivated to vote. For example, public education. I mean, if you go to East and West Texas, people are very unhappy about this voucher situation. And you know what they're asking? They're asking, why can't we just vote on this? I mean, why can't we have a statewide vote on vouchers? Why does it have to be crammed down our throat by somebody like Dan Patrick? And so you just go down issue after issue after issue. You talk about the THC fight and cannabis. Texans are saying the same thing. Why can't I vote on that? Don't you trust me to vote on that? And I don't agree with Dan Patrick. So the point, Jason, is there's great dissatisfaction with politics in general, great dissatisfaction with the policies that are coming out of Austin. And Dan Patrick is to blame, and I think there's going to be all the votes I need to win this thing.
But you've done some polling that shows that you might have an avenue.
Well, it shows that I have work to do.
Yeah?
It doesn't show me winning.
What does it show, though?
Well, it shows that it's a pretty close race. It's a lot closer of a race than you would think
Really?
In our polling. We didn't mention my name, so I don't know what kind of name recognition I have and how that would influence that.
But the numbers said what to you?
Well, the numbers say that it's a close race. If it's a three-way race with Dan Patrick in one position, a Democrat, and then an independent who's a businessman, particularly one who's pro-public education, it's a fairly close race.
Is public education the main issue that you're hearing from Texans about?
It's one of the main issues. Property taxes are a perennial issue. They are too high and they keep going up, and there's relief, but it's marginal at best. We're paying too much property taxes. We're not getting the schools that we want. People are very concerned about, they want common sense reproductive rights. So where we went on that issue, Texans don't support, Democrats and Republicans alike. And then THC, as we discussed. I mean, I think Texans they'd really like to have a say in this. THC, casino resorts. I mean, Texans really want to have a vote on that. And then vouchers, as discussed.
Where do you stand on THC?
Well, a ban is bad. I mean, what Dan Patrick proposed and what he tried to
Total
accomplish,
ban is what he wants.
Total ban is not a good answer. It's bad for industry. It's bad for agriculture. There are a lot of people that depend on it. It's just not sensible to ban it outright. And so I think we should vote on it. It needs to be regulated. We need to take care. We have to protect our communities. But also we have to do right by our farmers, by industry, by the people that need it, and be sophisticated about what we do here.
Casino resorts, where do you stand on that?
Well, I support it. I mean, if you think about it, we have to fund public education. Property taxes are too high. How do you solve that problem? Part of the solution, in my opinion, and I think Texans will vote for this, are casino resorts. And I put emphasis on resorts because what I don't like the idea of is grimy casinos on the street corner taking advantage of people that, your heart goes out to them.
So keep all the casinos in one area,
well, no,
under one umbrella.
Well, I think a big resort type, attraction for people to come from other states, for example. Right now, Texans we're traveling to casino resorts outside of the state. Yeah. If you think about it, paying taxes to Louisiana and Oklahoma, we're funding their public education with those tax dollars instead of funding our public education. And I think I'm right, but we should let Texans vote. I think I'm right, but we should let Texans vote.
Mike, I've known you a long time. You've been a Republican in the past as an accountant, right?
Correct.
CPA. You've run as a Democrat, and now you're an
Correct.
independent. What do you want Texans to take away from this when they see you? It's like, hey, we've seen you kind of all over the place.
Yeah, you'll have, if you know CPAs, and I happen to be a CPA for decades, we are not partisan creatures. I mean, we are very policy-oriented, very analytical. The Republicans wouldn't help me when I wanted to run. I'm very concerned about budget and fiscal matters, where this all started. The Republicans wouldn't help me, and the Democrats would. But I'm not a partisan person. And now I look at this, and things have changed. I mean, they've really changed just in the 10 years that I've been involved. The partisan warfare is just off the charts. It's very natural for me, as a CPA, as a businessman, to hold myself out as an independent. I tell people I stand as a party of one, but I think, Jason, I stand with millions who
You think so?
we need to do something. Oh, absolutely. Got to do something different.
And when it comes to the campaign, Dan Patrick's going to have a lot of money. He
Yep.
just got a big endorsement from President Trump on Truth Social. Are you concerned about being able to raise the kind of money you'd need to compete?
It's hard work, man. There's no question about it. It is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of courage.
Can you raise that money, though?
Absolutely.
You think so?
I wouldn't be doing this if I thought it wasn't possible. It's possible, but I have to work. And CollierForTexas.com, I need people to help me.
What's this race going to cost?
Oh, it's, you know, these races are very expensive. If you want to really get your message out and communicate with people, it costs in the tens of millions. And so we're going to do our best to raise absolutely as much as we possibly can. But I feel very good about it, Jason. I really do.
Running as an independent, you're not going to be on the March primary, obviously.
Correct.
Explain how this is going to be different than previous campaigns you've run.
Well, if you're running in a primary, first of all, if you're running in a primary, you have quite a large infrastructure to help you, to cheer you on, to invite you to their town. I'm going to be relying on my own infrastructure. I've been working on this for 12 years, and so that's different. I won't have anywhere near the infrastructure platform in terms of going out and campaigning, so that's going to feel different. I suspect when we get closer to Election Day, there'll be all sorts of people that want to see me. But it's really going to be an awful lot of media work and going and calling on friends in places all over the state who will organize events for me and so forth. Perhaps more importantly, though, Jason, because I don't have a primary opponent, every issue, I can call it exactly as I see it. I don't have to be calculating and concerning myself with, well, you know, what are this group going to say? What are that group going to say? I mean, I can call it exactly like I see it.
So that said, has your message changed at all since you ran as a Democrat?
From a policy standpoint, not one bit. Not one bit. I wouldn't dream of changing my position because
Why
they've
not
been
run as a
closely
Democrat
held.
again, though? Why not run as a Democrat again?
Two-party system. I really don't want to be a part of that partisan warfare. And even in the 10 years that I was involved, it changed quite a lot. I step back and I say, I can really help my state and my community, and good for my own soul, to be an independent, to work against, you know, people are going to stick with their party and that's fine, but if we had one independent that can win and inject a new thinking in politics, that in and of itself, I think will have a profound impact.
If elected, top two priorities for you are
Public
what?
education from the very beginning.
But what do you do with it? I mean, the voucher system's already passed. That's in the pipeline, that $1 billion, and that begins next fall.
Well, it's brand new. It's still, you know, in the experimental phase. Listen, I'm for school choice, but I want public schools to be a great choice. Now, who's working on that? I think that we ought to have students trying to get into public schools instead of students trying to get out. And Dan Patrick would prefer the latter. I think so. My focus, singular focus as it relates to education, is to make sure we do right by our public schools, which, by the way, that's where the students are. So that's a top issue. Common sense reproductive rights. What happened recently, Texans don't support. It's very bad, and people know it. Property taxes need to come down. And then we talked about, we talked about casino resorts, and I think people should vote for that. I think people should vote for that. I think they should vote for THC. What do you guys want? And then back to vouchers. We ought to ask the state whether they approve of what we're doing with vouchers.
Let voters decide whether to continue vouchers.
I don't see why not. That's what I want as a voter.
Your message really sounds like a hybrid between what Republicans want and what Democrats want.
You know, having been on the campaign trail, I have felt that we are more alike than we are not alike. And I have felt that on all. I had a lot of support when I ran against Dan Patrick from Republicans. And for Republican leadership, I had endorsements. We're not that far off on policy. The problem is two parties fighting each other. And I'll share another observation with you, is that folks are really tired of that. And when they go to the polls and vote for somebody, they're thinking to themselves, is this person really concerned about the community, or are they only concerned about their party? So you run as an independent, that takes that issue completely away.
People watching this might say, listen, we've seen Mike before, we know what Mike stands for, he's been on my ballot before, and he's run twice and he hasn't run. Why is he on my ballot again? What do you tell those people?
Well, I'm pretty persistent, Jason, and I'm very passionate about these issues. And I'm also very passionate about the state of politics in our country. And I think I'd be doing the world and our state a great service by competing and winning as an independent. And I have to do it. I have to.
Anything else you'd like to add or point out to let Texas voters know about Mike Collier, the independent?
Well, CollierForTexas.com. If you like what you see, I would just say this. I think other states will follow. If you just picture a world where an independent, an accountant, independent, wins for the lieutenant governor, which, by the way, is, folks need to understand this. Lieutenant governor is not like vice president, where they don't do anything. In Texas, the lieutenant governor is the president of the Senate, the most powerful lawmaker we have in Austin. Just imagine if that person is not a partisan, but an independent. That could be huge.
And people seeing this also might say, listen, you know, Patrick's poll numbers might be what they are, but he's going to have the money and the support from President Trump, and we're still a Republican state. What do you say to that?
Oh, I think you'd be surprised at how open-minded voters really are. I believe that they are because I've campaigned around this state and I know the state pretty well. You'd be very surprised how open-minded they are if they know you. And if you run as an independent candidate, you're inviting people. So forget party for a second and come listen to what my point of view is and tell me what your point of view is, and let's work on these things together. Oh, I think there's a real appetite for that in the state.
Mike, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.